You can see how heavy that last chop was from Angela.
I think definitely in the last year or two, her chopping's also been much more consistent as well. Was definitely a notable factor in a match with Judy Hugh yesterday in the last round. A lot of the rallies went quite the distance.
It's always difficult as the receiver when the defensive player starts hitting with the long pips like Angela did. You see a stroke over the ball, but often the ball will be either dead or even a slight amount of underspin. I think, Matt, the match with Judy Hugh and Angela Guan last night, that was the last match of the event.
Yeah.
Everyone was waiting and it went the full distance. So I think Angela's age won't really be used against her because she's still quite young and great physical capability and super footwork.
I know she's been playing a little bit more internationally lately as well. We were actually in China together last year when I played the China Open, and I ran into Angela in 2 different cities while I was there. She was training in Zhengding and in Beijing. So she's definitely putting in the extra yards to improve her game.
Oh, and a great recovery from off the table, able to catch the edge on that smash return. Just managed to keep it nice and low, and that ball did tick quite strong. You know, Matt, the one thing a number of the coaches in the U.S. are so impressed with Angela is her great attitude. Win, lose, or draw, she always has such a positive frame of mind and is always looking towards each match to make her a better player, and really treats every opponent as an opportunity to learn something. And
yeah.
her mom's in her corner for this match, and
she's always got her sister behind her supporting as well. I've noticed that throughout the whole tournament.
So far, Sara Fu on the far side, just taking her time, trying to get a little bit more comfortable with the amount of spin that's coming off of. There's the forehand that we mentioned earlier that Angela needs to continue to work on. She needs to have that second dimension to her game so that she's not predictable by only being a retriever. Sara very strong at dropping the ball short and moving it deep on her pushes, so Angela's going to have to be careful with the depth change.
I know the match she played yesterday, Judy actually had a 3-0 lead, so she seems to kind of warm up into the match a little bit slower, maybe with her footwork and especially with her attacking strokes. Her confidence kind of takes a little while to build up. So it's good to see her taking a few swings in the first set, just to see how her feeling's going.
And there was a very nice aggressive bumping with the long pips on the backhand side that caught the net. Now, Sara Fu within 2 points of taking game number 1, and Angela with a very well-placed top spin serve catching Sara a little bit jammed. Sara with a nice mini break advantage here, up 9-7 and the serve. Very strong opening loops by Sara Hazinski, wife of 2004 U.S. Olympian Mark Hazinski, graduate of Texas Wesleyan. So Sara Fu, Hazinski takes game number 1. in a very straightforward manner. And there we have Angela's mom giving her advice to hopefully either extend the points a little bit longer so that she can have that spin variation, or how to present some more challenges for Sara Hazinski. Right there you see a very well placed ball into the middle by Hazinski.
That's Li Bo Chao coaching Sarah. He's a 2700 player from the New Jersey area. It'd be interesting to see what kind of changes Angela comes back with in the next set.
I would guess, Matt, that there's a chance that she starts to move her initial chop out to the forehand side, so she just reduces the angles that Sarah will have. Sarah's been able to loop into her body and also out to the forehand quite comfortably.
I think one of the strengths that Sarah had in the first game was the amount of variation she can get on the first ball. You saw some of them were kicking up quite high with a lot of topspin. Sometimes she can hit through the ball more. It's a very good weapon to have against a defensive player.
Choppers really need to use their serve as an advantage to either force an attack directly or to give a player not much space to work with. And quickly, right out of the gate, Angela Guan holds her serve, takes both of them. Begins with a nice little lead. Sarah just too much topspin on that first ball. Angela unable to keep it down. Sarah looking a little bit frustrated on that last missed loop. That's a nice forehand loop by Angela.
That's definitely the kind of play that Angela needs to make if she wants to get out and have a chance in this match.
As an offensive player playing against a defender, anytime that defender can throw in a heavy topspin, you're just a little bit unsure of yourself whether you should try to counterattack it or just play it safe.
Seems she's kind of focusing more on the backhand side of Sarah in this set, so there's some longer pushing rallies, so that should give Angela a few more chances to attack first.
As we mentioned, Angela Guan in that 7-game victory over Judy Hugh last night. Sarah beat Prachi Jha in a quite straightforward 4-1 win, with 2 of the games going 11-9. So both these players had to beat world team members to reach the quarterfinals. That's a nice backhand right off the bounce with the long pips. Great placement by Sarah on that opening loop. You can just see how difficult it is for Angela to cover that middle. At that time, Sarah being a little impatient, trying to finish the point before it really materialized. Sara with just really solid technique on that opening forehand loop off of underspin. Very little risk. Again, using the serve effectively, moving it around. It almost looked like that could have been a slight bad bounce. I mean, we've seen that with plastic balls. The ball didn't really seem to come up as much as Sara thought it would. But Angela's really having difficulty when she does try to counterattack Sara's slower, heavy opening. So much spin on it. Angela would be better off trying to chop that ball and give the spin right back to her. But now 10-6 and Sara's trying to get back into this game. Oh, Sara had the ball she wanted, smashed it off the end, and now we are tied at 1 game apiece in this best of 7. Here's the forehand chop that popped up right after the loop. Looked to be an easy put away and just smashed it off the end. Sara asking herself what happened there.
That definitely cost her 3 or 4 points in that set, just not being able to convert the points that she set up, maybe choosing the wrong ball to attack, but I feel like 2 or 3 of them she definitely should have put that ball away.
Yeah, they were clearly unforced errors. Again, when she puts that much spin on her opening loop, she's going to get it right back, but the balls were high enough to where she could have maybe bent her knees a little bit, got underneath the ball, not be so high to where she had to lift it some because it was lower. Now we have a best of 5. Both these players fighting to get to the Friday night Brooklyn Bowl, where USA Table Tennis will be broadcasting on One World Sport, both the women's singles final first and then the men's singles final. That event will be brought to you by Yola, which is our official table of the 2016 Supermicro US National Championships. That ball is so heavy, Matt. When Sara opens up and it's a slow spinny ball, Angela's able to keep it down and just return everything right back on the other side of the net. Sara's got to be careful not to give her too much to work with.
Another missed opening. In the first set, she seemed to make most of her opening balls. So seeing the last set and the start of this set with her missing those, it's a very important part of her setting up of every point, is just to be able to load that first topspin ball up.
And it seems that when Sara does make that spinny first loop, if she can really force Angela to take an extra step to chop it to get in a position, she'll get a number of errors off of that. And that's the third big smash that we've seen Sara just really kind of tank off the table. Just wasn't even a nice stroke, just trying to smother it.
That was a great angle.
Really well set up off of the wide serve, drawing Angela off the table and then taking the ball inside out. You can see Angela running around to play her backhand on the forehand side with the long pips, wanting to maximize the spin on that ball.
She managed to do a great job of getting a balance out there to get that ball back. It was a good play by Sara there to take that backhand ball so early. Really gave her a good advantage on that point, especially with the angle and the timing together.
That ball caught the edge of Angela's racket, but it was still in the direction she wanted it to go. So small little raising of the hand to signify she knew that it was not what she intended to hit the edge. That's a nice loop. And then Angela unable to convert after making a beautiful return off that attack.
4-0.
Nice no spin chop right there. You could see Angela taking all the spin off this loop and just sending it back dead. Sara not picking up the change of spin, loops it off the end. But again, nice placement on the serve to put pressure on Angela. Doesn't look like much, but if Angela can't really chop through the ball, she has to chop at it. It reduces her effectiveness. And super placement, forcing Angela to really alter her body position between each stroke.
There we go.
So Sara now beginning to convert with that forehand smash. That last one did catch the net, but it was clearly going to go in her direction. Beautiful.
Wow.
Off the bounce forehand counter blocking attack. Generally see the men do that a lot more. When they rush up to the table, they get a quick loop and they're too close and they just take it right off the bounce. That time Sara just got completely off balance and kind of cross-footed.
It's a great serve receive.
Yep.
That topspin tomahawk that Angela uses so far during this match, Sara's kind of rolled the ball back over. So if she's able to make a stronger opening attack on it, that'll definitely give her an advantage.
That was a beautiful kind of a control block by Sara off of Angela's opening. It's a very difficult ball to chop when somebody blocks your loop. Sara able to just really get back, get the ship right, and now up 9-7. And now 3 points to take a 2-1 lead in this best of 7 match. You can see Sara reminding herself just to slow it down and stay cool after that last forehand smash. Timing-wise, she appears to be just a little on the early side before going for broke. Too much spin. Angela goes for the block off the bounce, which goes long, which allows Sara Hazinski now to take a 2-1 lead in this women's singles quarterfinals match here at the Las Vegas Convention Center. It's our third of 4 quarterfinals all day long. We will be featuring the final rounds of men's and women's singles. Sara Hazinski on the right-hand side against Angela Guan, a U.S. junior team member. So Matt, let's say you're in Angela's corner right now. What is the number one thing that she has to make an adjustment to even up this match?
I think the second set, she really got ahead with varying up a lot. So she kind of stepped away from, I mean, she was playing a great chopping game. She was mixing up the spin, but she also threw in some incredible points. She was able to play a couple of backhands with her long pips. She was able to come back in and counterattack. I think if she can really diversify her game, then it's much harder for Sara to get into these patterns where she's kind of just top spinning, putting heavy spin on the opening ball, and then just working around the defensive game, so she's able to set up for that that smash at the end. You know, I mean, Sarah's made some errors with that high ball, but if she starts getting more confidence and she starts nailing that timing, it's going to give her a lot of momentum in the match. And for Angela, it's going to affect her confidence if Sarah's always making these big balls to finish the point.
Clearly one of the most exciting points of this match. So both players able to keep the ball in play and deal with some very strong attacks. Great return off that smash, but Sara able to stay with the point. And now is rewarded with a 2-0 lead here in game 4. And Angela's going to have to get on the board really quickly as Sara's gaining a lot more confidence on that opening loop.
3-0.
It'll be interesting, Matt, to see if Angela just stays safe with the chops, or if she starts to try to force offense, which will really show whether that patience is there or not.
John Oxford, control please, station E. John Oxford, station E.
Well-placed side spin push by Angela to get her first point in game 4. And now
Good opening ball.
changing it to a little bit of offense. Boy, that was her first forehand loop there by Sara. No real angle.
It was very different from the last time she tried it. Sarah's definitely been favoring the longer or faster half-long serves. That seems to have, especially across the body and out to the forehand, if she can get Angela to move across with her long pips where she seems to be more comfortable chopping. That would give her the angle if she could get into position and play that ball. Lifted the elbow a little bit too much there.
A little bit of a break there for Angela, able to lift up that last ball with some topspin on her forehand side.
Sara did well to get that ball back so low off the net there.
Big points right here for Angela Guan to try to tie up this match, and now trails 8-5.
You can see again when she plays that topspin tomahawk to the backhand, she does get a ball back that's attackable. Just wasn't able to make that one on.
See Sara going through the missed stroked ball by lifting her elbow, trying to remind herself to keep that down to allow for a little bit more spin on the ball and less lift. That's another nice forehand block from off the table by Angela.
You can see there's definitely a lot more emotion leaking on Sara's side of the table. Angela seems very calm, very collected. Even when she's missing her shots, she's very focused on what's happening.
That's going to be a difficult shot for Sara. It's not as easy as it looks. And I think that's where Angela's baiting her a little bit to play a hard shot, a ball that has a lot of spin on it. Angela in much more tournament practice or tournament training than Sara. Sara coaches quite a bit in the Waco area. Angela's a full-time player on the U.S. team, not doing any coaching at all.
I think it's really going to force Sara. Wow.
Again, top of the net and out.
You can see with that point, though, Sarah's starting to focus more on just being more patient and setting up that right ball, which is going to possibly work in favor of Angela. I mean, Angela is very patient and kind of grinding away. Very, very fluid motions. She'll just chop and chop.
Oh, my goodness.
And then force those errors. I mean, when you get to the point where you're missing these balls, you've worked maybe 6 or 7 loops. You've moved into position for every ball. And to miss that shot at the end just takes a toll on you mentally.
So, game point. And Angela Guan has tied up this quarterfinal match with a series of errant shots by Sara Hazinski. So we now have a 2-2 match. And Angela able to mix in a little bit of off-the-table play, a couple of opening loops. But, Matt, it's really been Sara's misses.
Yeah. I mean, it was almost as if she was just trying to tie that set up too fast. We didn't really see that frequency of errors. It was like the last 3 points. All of those balls she should have made on the table. That was her opportunity to win the set. I mean, if she'd been a little more patient or if she'd been able to land those, it would have been a different result.
And I wonder, Matt, with Sara's heavy spin, if somehow that's working against her a little bit, because when Angela pops it, it's in between loop it again and smash it. So it's that fine line, and Sara's kind of lack of patience has said, go ahead and smash it because it's a weak ball, but it's really not so weak because it's that.
It's a tough ball.
You got to really almost bend down a little bit to be able to swing through it versus standing tall and lift it. And I don't know if it's something that Angela can do on demand, because it really requires a heavy ball off that loop to pop up and still have a lot of spin on the ball.
It'd be very interesting to see if Sara can start making those. I think it's really a kind of pivotal play in the match so far, where if Sara sets those points up and she's able to finish them, she may have an advantage. If she misses, then Angela's got a good chance of taking more points.
I would say, Matt, that if Sara can make one more loop before she goes for the smash, that ball will probably be 2 to 3 inches higher, which makes it a lot easier to deal with the amount of spin.
Lucky break off the net there for Sara.
That's a nice backhand.
And a great follow-up.
Wow, what a combination by Angela Guan. Off of the push, coming in and bumping with the backhand, and then forehand quickly. And there's the forehand loop that we've seen earlier in the tournament on the loose pushes off of an aggressive serve. Nice technique, getting through the ball, well placed. And Angela continuing the momentum that she created at the end of game 4. That's a much better shot to choose by Sara. And after the point, just such a different look on her face of ready to play the next point.
Just a little bit out of position on that forehand attack.
Angela transitioning. There's the nice block. Throwing in the chop. And then trying to execute the forehand loop, but catches the net. Needed to be a little further away from the ball to give herself some space. And that's all Sara Hazinski right there, just jumping on the tomahawk serve and just really directing it. Angela's got to play both corners, not knowing where that ball's going. It's a better location to do the tomahawk into the backhand.
It's definitely been much more successful to her backhand. That's the second time Sarah's managed to make a good opening ball when the ball's gone to her forehand with that serve.
Anytime Sara can make that forehand smash, it will not come back. It's so difficult for a chopper to return a ball. This hits so fast without any spin on it. The continuation of the loops is what Angela would like to see.
Right. I mean, it's the same for a lot of table tennis players. You don't want to see somebody laying into your serve straight at the beginning of a point.
Play. 5-4.
Looked like Angela had a little bit of advantage on that last ball, but when Sara returned that backhand bump, Angela was kind of stuck in the center. And that Sara's ball has a lot of spin on it. Angela's not going to be able to carry the ball back and keep it down. She's going to have to put some spin of her own if she wants to get that ball on the table. Much better play, very patient. Angela taking her time, not forcing anything, but waiting for the opportunity and then looping that inside out.
Taking a lead there. It's always great to have a 3-2 lead when you're playing best of 7. So no doubt they'll both be fighting really hard for this set.
Lucky break there, Matt, but Angela definitely was in the position she wanted to with that nice aggressive flip out and then long pit backhand off the bounce. Once again, it seems like every time Sara misses the smashes in the last 2 games, they've been off the top of the net.
I noticed in this rally she got that kind of half-high ball and opted to loop it on the first one. Wasn't able to make the second one though.
That time Sara read the dead chop much better. It's almost like Angela's willing to set traps here and there to see if Sara will bite. Again, Sara puts a lot of spin on her opening loop, so if she hasn't read it correctly, there's not much margin for error. And a beautiful misdirection. We'll see Angela's level of smashability there. Just kind of kept it on the table, but you could see Sara having some difficulty.
Well, it's the first time we've seen Sara playing back from the table this match.
And Sara, again, so much experience knowing that the difference of serving that ball just a little bit more into those jam points can get you some free points where she doesn't have to work so hard to get that smash to land. So 2 game points for Sara Hazinski to take a 3-2 lead. Angela with the serve. I'd expect her to stay as safe as possible, not do anything too drastic. Just wants to get into a defensive posture. Oh, and able to return that first smash. There wasn't a lot on that smash. Just see.
It's a great setup from Sara too, with that the angles in both directions and then attacking that ball.
And Angela Guan just relying on a wall of defense, just bringing everything back with a lot of spin. Sara forced to loop against her own spin that Angela just slid back over the net. And now game point. Oh, beautiful backhand bump right off the table. Now, high fives from Mom.
That's exactly the kind of plays that she needs to be making. I mean, that just came out of nowhere.
Here comes the push, and then a nice little keep the racket at the correct angle and bump it out to the forehand. Sara's getting ready to loop that push, and all of a sudden she sees an offensive ball being sent her way. And you really love to see this from the young and up-and-coming players, to be able to get into the heat of the battle with a real seasoned and experienced player like Sara Hazinski. So right now, Angela Guan leading 3-2, winning that last game 12-10. In the third quarterfinal action in women's singles from the Las Vegas Convention Center. Okay, so now, Matt, we've spoken about what Angela needed to do to get back into this match. Now, place yourself in Sara's corner. More aggression, more patience, move the ball around.
I think she really needs to keep making those shots. Maybe she needs to take a little bit more time to set them up, but every time she's landed that ball, she's had a chance to finish the point. So really, I don't know whether she's going to change the placement more, maybe play the wider angles. I know the wide inside-out ball to the backhand has worked really well for her on a couple of occasions. But she needs to make sure that when she gets to that higher ball, she has to win the point. Whether she changes it and slows it down, or whether she takes the shot.
And we saw the first 2 points of this game. Just some complete mishits and no contacts. This is generally what you will see. And there's a timeout there by Sara, is when you start thinking outcome. You're not playing the next shot, but you're now letting the previous game or what you don't want to have happen. So Sara really needs to get back into the game mentally and not be thinking about the fact that she's had a slow start and she's trailing 3-2. And a chopper is going to count on the offensive player's mistakes. That's the nature of the game. So when Sara makes them, she just needs to calm down and not feel that she's in a time crunch.
Especially at this stage of the match, and after Angela was able to come back in the last set by being very patient, that puts a lot of pressure on Sara to figure out how she's going to be able to win points. The real weapon that Angela has at this point is that she's able to play really consistently and just defend away. But then when it gets to the crucial points, and Sara's probably thinking about how she has to win the points. Angela will just come out with a completely different shot, maybe.
Excellent placement by Sara. 2 smashes, both down the center of the table. Oh, that's a beautiful third ball attack there by.
That's exactly the kind of ball that I'm talking about. You have these kind of long rallies and, you know, there's a lot of tension, and then Angela's just able to open up and win a point straight out like that.
She can be so much more aggressive when she's serving, because as she's serving side or side top, if Sara pushes it, that ball's going to pop. And if she's willing to be up at the table, she can flip the switch and go into offense. And her loop is a lot more flat and to the corners, so Sara needs to just, I think, keep her back, but on her terms, and not allow Angela to keep changing the spin and moving the ball around. And now Angela really sprinting out to a lead here in game 6. That service return just popped way too high.
6-2.
Critical point right here for Sara Hazinski. She needs at least one of these next 2, if not both. And now she really has her back up against the wall. 5-point margin, and Angela Guan with the serve. And we have what some would call an offensive timeout, or at least where you're leading and not wanting the score to change in the direction of the opponent. So I don't know if it was Angela or her mom who called that timeout. I think this will work for both players. Sara will be reminded to keep doing what she needs to do, and Angela will have a chance to make some small adjustments.
Definitely seen more errors from Sara, and particularly in this game. So if she's able to cut them down, I think the score margin will shrink up quite quickly. Just a couple of balls where she hasn't quite been in position. It's always interesting to see where a game goes after a timeout. Not a great time for a false serve.
Just getting ahead of yourself.
Especially at 8-4 with Angela having 2 serves now.
And that type of serve is so difficult for the attacker when you do a slight side top. You either have to drive it or almost block it, but a slow spin. Very difficult to keep the ball down.
Might try it again here.
Not a bad shot by Angela, but she has to be in perfect position to respin that ball. Because Sara does have a ton of topspin on her opening loop. Once again, just a slight hesitation and a jamming. So 5 match points for Angela Guan to reach the Final Four in women's singles. And Angela Guan has beaten Sara Hazinski in 6 games, losing the first 11-7, but then coming back to win game 2 11-6, dropping 3 at 8, going back to win 4, 5, and 6. So Angela Guan will move into the bottom half semifinal, and she will face one of 2 Olympians that are scheduled to play in the quarterfinal. So mom happy, team happy, and the U.S. junior team member Angela Guan will get a chance to keep her national singles dreams alive.